Today I am talking about trademark infringement and do's and don'ts, and especially in relation to hashtags. I'll show you on my piece of paper here. And so obviously that's what a hashtag looks like, and when somebody has a trademark registered, they're entitled to use the R in the circle symbol. They don't have to use that. Sometimes they also use TM. Now, a trademark registration is limited geographically. This is my Earth. That looks like New Zealand. So if you've got it only registered in New Zealand, that's where your protection extends to. So what happens if somebody has a trademark registered? Let's say Tesla for cars. Can you then use this trademark? When can you use it? How can you use it? And do hashtags make any difference? So usually when you're talking on social media, hashtags are commonly used for descriptions. And so it might be something like make more money. And something descriptive usually won't be registered as a trademark. But what happens if you use the Tesla example and you go on hashtag Tesla? Well, it depends on the circumstances. If Tesla is registered as a trademark, and if your use on social media is seen to be trademark use, then that might amount to trademark infringement. Now, of course, each country has different laws. The laws I'm talking about that require use as a trademark or trademark use, I'm talking about Australia, and I'm talking about New Zealand, and a whole host of other countries. Some countries may have different laws. So these are the ones I'm talking about. So, for example, I know an organization that held a Christmas party. The Christmas party was a X Factor themed Christmas party. Now, in that particular country, X Factor was registered as a trademark for television shows and other entertainment. The organization that held the party were using X Factor, obviously referring to the TV show, because they were going to have some kind of talent show, but they weren't using it. They were not using it as a trademark for entertainment or TV shows. They were using it as a description of their party. So in that case, I said to them, yeah, you're probably right. You're absolutely fine. You can use it in that sort of context. They weren't using it as a brand name. They weren't using it to identify the organization or identify the party. It was just a descriptor. And so in that particular situation, they were fine. So if we come back to the Tesla example, and again, we're talking Australia and New Zealand, many other countries have the same laws, but I can't talk for all of them. So in that particular example, if you're on social media and you say you've bought yourself a new car and you say that it was a Tesla, you're absolutely fine. There's no infringement because you're just describing something. And in fact, in that situation, when you're talking about Tesla, you're actually talking about the car that you bought, or you might be talking about a car that you want to buy. But then that also raises another question. What happens about, and so it makes no difference whether you're using the hashtag or not. That it doesn't change the likelihood of infringement, or that doesn't lessen the likelihood of infringement. If your use of the word would infringe, then putting the hashtag in front of it doesn't change that. If the use of the word would not infringe, putting the hashtag in front of it does not change that. But now, so for example, if you said you were going to create new cars, and you said, building my own car, and I'm building a Tesla, that may be seen to be going too far. So because you're actually using it in relation to cars, and you're actually using it perhaps as a brand name. It also, of course, depends on what Tesla goods and services Tesla has it registered for. If Tesla only has it for cars, and you've decided to come up with, let's go over here, you've decided to come up with clothing, and Tesla only has theirs, I'm not saying they do, but if they only have theirs registered for cars, then you're safe to use it on clothing because Tesla's protection doesn't extend to that. But there is an exception to that. In some countries, well-known trademarks give a broader protection. So they will be protected even for goods or services that they're not registered for. And so you need to be aware of the exception of a well-known trademark. And Tesla might well fall into the well-known category. And pretty much they get protection for everything, because anytime you see Tesla, you might be thinking of Elon Musk's company. And so one last point is, what happens about trademarks that have, say, become generic? So things that we use all the time. Things, for example, like Xerox. So in certain places, instead of saying, I'm going to make a photocopy, they might say, I'm going to Xerox something. Or instead of saying they're going to vacuum clean, they might say, I'm going to Hoover something. And in fact, the word fridge used to be a trademark, and so did nylon. Also used to be a trademark. So you can see how sometimes words change in meaning, and they go from brand names to non-brand names. And that was one of the reasons why when rollerblades first came out, that was the only name to describe, well, rollerblades. Then they came up with a new name. They called it inline skates. So rollerblades became the trademark, and inline skates became the description word. And rollerblades managed to retrieve their trademark. So what about these situations here? Well, you have to look in the country that you're intending to use the brand name. Is Hoover still registered as a trademark? Is Xerox still registered as a trademark? If it is still registered as a trademark, even if people commonly use it as a descriptive term, well, you're out of luck. If those words are registered as trademarks, then you have to honor the registration. So if the words are registered as trademarks, you can't just start using them and say, oh, well, everybody uses them as a description, so therefore I can use them as a description. You have to look in the particular country and see, what does that trademark's register say? And if they have become generic, then before you use them yourself, that terminology, you have to get them removed from the trademark's register. Otherwise, you're infringing a registered trademark. So with ones that have become generic, then there is a possibility you can get them removed from the register. And usually it'll be massive companies that will spend money doing that, and then everybody can use Hoover or Xerox as a generic word. And I know, for example, Band-Aid, it was in danger of becoming generic. And I know in a lot of different countries, they spent lots of money rebranding and changing the way they used the word Band-Aid, where they went Band-Aid elastoplast or Band-Aid sticking plaster. And so the use, how they used it, changed. And I think in a lot of countries, they still do have Band-Aid registered as a trademark. So the take-home message is, trademark infringement is not dependent on whether or not you use hashtags. The same trademark infringement rules apply, whether you're using it online or offline, whether you've got hashtags, whether you've got www, whether you've got E in front of it, like e-commerce, email, the rules still apply. What if the base word, whatever it is, hashtag Tesla, if your use would infringe the word Tesla, it makes no difference that you put a hashtag in front of it. And if it wouldn't infringe, again, it makes no difference that you put the hashtag in front of it. But a trademark infringement case can be a very serious thing, and I do recommend that you get specific legal advice if you have received a letter of demand. Do not ignore it. It's one of those things that can end up costing you a lot of money if you let it go on for too long. Many of those kinds of things can be settled by agreement, but once it hits the courtroom doors, legal costs just shoot through the roof. I hope this has been helpful. If it has, please comment and like my video. My name is Catherine Warburton. I am the Legal Lioness.